Okay. To date, I've been opposed to both of those. The land transfer fee, I'm still against. If we can't get a land use plan that can address this situation, then I think we got to start putting some of those other more severe measures back on the table. So, as of right now, I've not supported that. However, I'm going to leave. I'll leave it on the table. Right now, we're not in a critical situation. The speculative housing boom has that bubble has burst, and we've seen somewhat of a slowdown in speculative housing being built. But it'll be back in 2 years, so I don't think that we need to do that tomorrow. But if we can't come up with some less draconian measures between now and then I say leave them on the table. The impact fee, not the land transfer tax. If I could just wrap it up, and that's because the folks who receive the benefit should pay, and the money to build the schools has to come from somebody, and if it doesn't come from the folks who are causing the growth, then it's going to come from everybody who just happens to already be here. So,
Mr. Howard.
Okay. As far as the land transfer tax, absolutely not. The impact fees that you mentioned, impact fees are illegal in the state of North Carolina, and other than that fact, I cannot support that. But to deal with the growth, I think people take responsible developers for granted. I think if asked or if put into the zoning that or into the code, developers would mitigate the traffic impact. They would mitigate the increases that their growth was bringing, and it puts the burden back on their shoulder through responsible development as opposed to haphazard development as has occurred in the past.
Mr. Howard.
I feel like if the land use plan does its job, I think it can be a checks and balances for the developers and existing landowners, homeowners. We've got to go back to common sense. I think we've got to, as commissioners, we have to look at everything, as a friend of mine told me today. Every decision we make, our checks and balances are going to be, how does it affect the ordinary citizens of this county? Because we're being trusted to make those decisions for you. So we are your checks and balances. We're your voice at the table. So we have to look out for existing communities, existing neighborhoods. We also have to look out for the builders and developers and stop drawing lines in the sand. There can be fair opportunities for everyone. Growth is good, but we've got to plan better. We've got to be smarter. We've got to stop coming in and shoving things down existing developments' throats and clean up behind ourselves if we're developers, or our land use plans have to have checks and balances in place to equal these situations out. The land transfer fees and impact fees, they're just going to be transferred to the assessed value of the property, and that's not going to help the people buying the property. If you really look at it, that's all that's going to happen. The builder is going to put that fee onto his assessed value of the property. So that's not going to solve our solution. We've got to have a better land use plan and have the county commissioners that will implement that plan and do it without debate. Thank you.
Mr. Campbell.
No on both questions, and I'd just like to add, and I'm still in line from Ronald Reagan, but at one point he said that government is not the solution, government is the problem. And government here, I heard one of the Democrats, I was listening on the radio, refer to smart growth. And smart growth is part of the problem, and smart growth is a government-created problem. Smart growth means the government's going to tell you what to do with your land, and they're going to tell you that you have to have high-density zoning, and they're going to pack people into high-density residential areas. Now, if you just go out and find somewhere in America the highest density residence and then say, what is your tax rate? You're going to find the highest tax rate. It's going to be directly proportional. So when you hear people tell you that they want to have smart growth or some kind of, then the government planning what you're going to do with your life and your land, you better watch out. Government has been the cause of this mess in other counties. Luckily, in this county, we've kind of held the line on government getting into your business, and we don't have the tax rates that Charlotte or Greensboro or Raleigh have. Or the congestion, I might add, or the traffic or the crime. And I better stop there before I make somebody mad in one of those other counties.
Mr. Williams.
I'm opposed to land transfer taxes. Impact fees are not legal in most cases, so I would not support impact fees. However, I do support an adequate public facility ordinance if we could adopt one that would be directed toward the high growth, high density areas of the county and help resolve some of the situations as far as infrastructure development in schools in those areas. I would not be in favor of adequate public facility ordinance as it extends to the whole county in low growth areas or rural areas.